the hand here, and you have the lock.
I think he's going one way. So naturally, I follow.
He's coming with me, and then I take it from him.
To square up. You know that you need to square up.
And I'm going to continue the rotation of the wrist to submit him. All right, you guys, welcome to level 4. And oh my gosh, I got a special guest today. My brother Alfie showed up. I mean, how far away? Hour, 2 hours away?
A little bit over 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours away from my dojo, and he just happened to be in my town today doing some work. And I was like, man, come in and film some videos with us. Now, Alfie, I met him, we said 9 years ago.
Going on 9 years?
Going on 9 years ago, I was reffing a tournament, and I saw this guy. Man, you were pretty young. How old were you?
About 18 years old.
18-year-old. So an 18-year-old kid. I see this guy in this division. I'm reffing the division, and he's destroying everybody with like these super slick arm bars, flying arm bars. I don't know if you hit a flying arm bar, but it was cool. I saw a lot of good stuff.
Arm bar, yep.
And then I've never done this as a ref before, but as a ref, I started wanting you to win. So you can't do that as a referee. Any potential referees for jiu-jitsu out there watching this video, you can't want someone to win. You just have to be focused, but I wanted him to win so bad. And I didn't remember if he won that one or not, but I remember afterwards I went up to him and I said, man, I would love to have you come down to my academy and do some jiu-jitsu with us because I thought your jiu-jitsu was so beautiful and just was so strategic. And so that was it. So we've been friends ever since for 9 years. And today he's going to help me with this video series. So today, he's not going to be super happy about this, but the first technique is the outside wrist lock, and we're going to master the outside wrist lock in this lesson. So let me show you outside wrist lock. So first of all, I just want to show you technically how I hold their wrist. So what I do is I'm going to put my thumbs on their knuckles here. So my thumbs on the knuckles, and then my hand grabs the inside of his hand here. And then I twist and down. So I twist and move it down. So if I was wrist locking myself, I'm twisting and going down. Now also, as I'm applying this here, sometimes I'll take this hand and I'll just push to make the wrist lock. So I can twist or I can push. Now the outside wrist lock is a really special martial art technique. In Japanese it's called Omote Gyaku. My Japanese isn't that great, but I still remember that because it's one of the most famous wrist locks in martial arts. You'll see this wrist lock done, this wrist lock, you'll see that done in probably every martial arts system. I learned it in karate when we were also, or taekwondo, we were also doing hapkido, and I saw it there. I've seen it in almost every martial art curriculum. This is one technique where I've had multiple students use it in real life scenarios, real life self-defense situations. I use it grappling with my students all the time, but I put the pressure on kind of easy because it's a small joint can really hurt somebody. And if you're going to put it on hard with your students or with your friends in class, they're going to not like you. And so you've got to be kind of careful with it. This isn't a technique you're probably not going to see it a lot in sport jiu-jitsu. I've never seen it in a professional MMA competition. Maybe it's happened, but I've never seen it. But in self-defense, with an unexpected opponent, it works so well, and that's why we see it in so many martial arts. And today I'm going to teach you how to make it work for real and how to master it. So first step is Alfie's going to grab my gi here, and I'm going to teach you the first way I ever learned this technique. From here, he's got a hold of my gi. I need to get the hand off of my gi to make it work, and so what I'll do is I'll catch underneath my gi, and then I'll bring this hand over it, and I'll come here. Now this is the first way I ever learned it. This is not my favorite way to do it, which I'm going to get to later. But it's a great way to learn it. So I catch my gi, I catch here, and I push here. Something to consider is this doesn't hurt me. Grab as hard as you can. Oh, just kidding. Doesn't hurt at all. He's just grabbing my gi. That doesn't hurt. But if he decides to punch me, that's going to mess up my day, right? So that's what's going to hurt. So when I come here, I have it to the outside this way, so his punch isn't going to hit me. This is too awkward to throw that punch. Now from here, I put my thumb on the back of his knuckles, just like I showed earlier, and I move to here, and I bring him straight down to the ground. Now, we don't have to throw each other on the ground every time today, and we're not gonna because he doesn't want to get thrown every time. I never like to get thrown. Your students don't want to get thrown all the time. So we're just gonna go to the tap here, just like that. And there's that wrist lock. We'll throw a couple times later so you can see it. Now, what I realized coming up in jiu-jitsu is that someone grabs here, and you're messing with this a lot, it's obvious I'm trying to do something. It's not always easy to get that grip. You know what I mean? It will work at times, but not all the time. One thing that I showed in a previous video that I'm going to show again is if they catch the back of my head, we're here like this. This is how I've gotten this move to work a lot. When I'm here, I just turn, and now there's the wrist, and then I'm back for the wrist lock again. Once again.
So we're good for wrestlers.
Yeah. Here, Alfie just said it's going to work good for wrestlers. Let's go to this side. It does work really good. And this, when I've had this one, when I've made this one work in class or in training with somebody, it's often been from here. And I did see this at a tournament once, but the break, well, it was a break, so they broke the person's wrist, and I saw it was a compound fracture, so I saw the bone come out. So it's like, I want to say, you got to be really careful with these. And people say this stuff doesn't work, but it works, but it's so dangerous that you don't see it a lot in tournaments. Or a lot of tournaments ban them. In class, you end up being the person that no one wants to wrestle with if you do it all the time in class. So you got to be careful with them, right? So anyways, here we go again. Boom, and there's the lock. Okay, now, we can do the lock from different grabs, okay? When I learned this a long time ago, like I'm telling you, I was like 12 years old when I learned it. I learned it from a wrist grab. They grabbed my wrist. And I've made it work to this day. So someone grabs your wrist, you're here, and then you have the lock, okay? So we're here like this. You bring the hand here, and you have the lock. Now, I don't believe in a real-life self-defense situation. Someone's going to come up and you be like, what's up? I don't think that happens. Martial arts schools teach it like that, but I don't think that actually happens. But in jiu-jitsu, people are constantly fighting for the, oh, look it. This is a problem for me. He's got my wrists tied up, both of them. I mean, he's got control. If I was him, I'd be looking for a double leg takedown or an arm drag. So a double leg or an arm drag, that's a great tie-up. Whoa, he's got the arm drag. See what I'm saying? So I got somebody, they catch both my wrists. Oh, so now I come here. Now I have the wrist lock.
Immediately you feel the pressure.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Immediately.
Right away. And you
It's
got
a nice slick move.
Yeah, and you got to be careful. And what happens is, when I'm here, if he tries to stay up, it hurts him. So he ends up going down. It ends up becoming a really good takedown, right? So to review real quick. First one, catch us here. I catch my gi. Why do I catch my gi? Because if I don't, it's just, oh, go ahead and make a little tighter grip. It just keeps coming, right? So if I catch my gi, I can pull the gi, and then I can make the takedown. Okay? He catches the back of my head. Boom, right there we have the wrist lock. He catches my wrist, looking to tie my hands. Oh, come up here. There's a takedown there, right? Now, with this wrist lock, we can also learn a couple of really key principles of jiu-jitsu. Okay, so let's talk about that right now. All right, so now when I'm thinking about different principles of jiu-jitsu that we can learn from this wrist lock, one of my favorites is probably off-balancing somebody, so taking their balance from them. Oftentimes when I roll with somebody, I'm just really good at off-balancing people, and people are like, wow, you're so strong, you're like freakishly strong. But I think you can look at me and you can see I'm not freakishly strong. I'm not strong at all, but if you take their balance from them, you're going to have a lot of power and a lot of leverage. So let's explain that. We're here. You saw a move earlier in the series called Osotogari, where we came here and we went, oh, I think that was in the last level that we just watched, okay? And when we do that move, we have to transfer the weight to their leg to make them fall. Same thing with the wrist lock. So if Alfie grabs me here, if I come like this, when I'm going for the wrist lock, if I take this here and I bring him, oh, here, you can come back up, buddy. I bring him this way, it starts to put the weight on his leg. Do you feel that? So when I'm here, you start to feel that there's some weight on his leg. When there's a weight on his leg, I can step to the same technique we did in a previous video, Osotogari, but I have the control of the wrist lock. So I come here, and I'd step, and I make the lock. Let's do it again. I have control of his wrist. I want to get the takedown. Maybe I'm struggling to take him down, or maybe I just want to throw him, right? If I move him this way, it puts the weight to his leg, and all I have to do is step in, hip to hip, and take the leg away from him.
That's all I'm standing on.
Yep, I've got the takedown really easy. So that's one principle, is this is a way that we can learn to take someone's balance. And we have to think about that with almost every jiu-jitsu technique, a lot of them on the ground as well. Another principle that we talked about earlier is the circle. We can add the circle to this. This is funny because Alfie said, when I come, should I tie my hair up like Steven Seagal or should I let it long like Rambo?
That's
right?
a true
statement. He said it's a true story.
True
and this move, as hokey as he is, reminds me of Steven Seagal. I'm not a big Steven Seagal fanboy or anything like that, but I liked Out for Justice and Hard for Kill.
Let me take my hair down then real quick.
You're going to take it down? Hard to Kill and Out for Justice. I like those movies, but... But you see this in the small circle in Aikido, and so, anyways, you can transfer it to Jiu-Jitsu. So we're here like this. I have the wrist lock. I'm working for the wrist lock. If I make him move in a circle, I'm going to gain momentum and leverage. The way I move in the circle for this one is I take my right leg and I step behind him and I just turn him a little bit, and then boom, take him down. Okay, let's go back.
I think he's going one way, so naturally I follow.
He's coming with me. And then, I take it from him. You see this in like Aikido, where the guys will go, they'll come in here, and they'll bring them, and they'll let go, and they'll come there, and toss them like clothesliner type stuff. But this circle, I've made this work so many times. The way that I do this to make it really practical is when I have him here, I place his elbow against my arm. With his elbow against my arm, I'm creating like an armbar situation, and he has to follow me. So
and I need to square up. You know that. You need to square up as you go.
There we go. Heck yeah. That's that. We can add the circle to that throw. Now, another thing about this throw, another principle that we talk about all the time is why is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu so effective? A lot of people are going to see this as, oh, it's a stand-up self-defense technique. I'm just going to fast forward through this. A lot of people are going to do that. Because a lot of people will say, well, the ground is a lot more effective for me. And the reason why the ground is more, you're not wrong. The reason why the ground is more effective is because the ground stabilizes and immobilizes somebody. We have a base on the ground and they can't move. If I'm here, I'm doing this. Let's be real for a second. I'm doing this. He's punching, he's moving, he's squirming. It might not be that easy. If I put him on the ground, now where's he going to go? He's not going to go anywhere. So once I have him on the ground, he's immobilized, he's stabilized, and then I can submit him. So if I want to take him to the ground on this one, once I have the wrist lock, now here, once we're on the ground, I'm just going to take my leg here, my shin here, I'm going to slide my knee over to his bicep, and I'm going to continue the rotation of the wrist to submit him. Those are some of my favorite techniques, or my favorite strategies on making this outside wrist lock, also known as Omote Gyaku, work. And so it is like probably the key self-defense technique that I wanted to put into this very first level of Jiu-Jitsu because it does work so well. And I've had my own students, I've had so many people tell me, oh yeah, I got in this, I remember one particular guy got in this bar fight and someone grabbed him, he used it right away. I had a female student get attacked by somebody outside of my dojo like 20 years ago. She was able to use this technique. I've been able to use it. I've used it in matches all the time. So don't, just because it's a stand-up self-defense move, don't throw it away. It's an important technique in Jiu-Jitsu, and it's also a very historically important technique in Jiu-Jitsu.